Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Breakworks and another match of Beyond All Reason, where I am recovering from a little bit of a cold, so pardon me if my voice sounds a little bit raspy here. Getting over those travel sicknesses. I don't know about you, but every time I go on a plane ride or kind of, do any amount of serious travel, I feel like I always get sick right afterwards. I'm not sure what it is. I guess all those germs from random strangers. But anyway, getting into the game here. We've got a brand new map. Well, it's kind of a new map. It's like a new take on an old map. It's All That Glitters version 3.0, and if you've been playing the game recently, then I'm certain that you're familiar with it. But I personally haven't gotten a chance to take a look at it all too much. I watched a couple of games today, including this one here that we're going to see today, and it was a very high-level match, so I was excited to share it with you guys and share some thoughts on the map as well, because I know it's been a heated debate about a fan-favorite beloved map introduced or changed in the pool, so certainly lots to discuss. Feel free to put all that down below in the comment section. You can also check out the Discord channel, which is where I make announcements, in case you'd like to get notified whenever I go live on stream. We do those on YouTube and Twitch, 12 to 4 PDT on Saturdays. You're more than welcome to join in on that in case you want to have some fun. We play with Legion and some of the other funky units as well, so it's a good opportunity to play with some stuff that doesn't usually get toggled on in these regular games, but I digress. Let's get into the match right here. Spawning as the blue team leader, it's going to be none other than Chevrolet. I drove a Chevrolet for a long time, actually. Chevrolet, yeah, pretty good. I don't know. I'm not one of those people that knows every breed of car and could tell you all of them off the top of your head and kind of what they all stand for, but I liked it. I liked it. Chevrolet at 64 open skill, my goodness. A blue Armada commander going to be showing us what they've got right up here on the front line, as we've already got a couple of bots out on the field. Looks like we also have Shutdown, going to be sending out one of these res bots to eat up a bunch of the metal flakes out here on the map. There are loads and loads and loads of these little golden specks out of the map that you can reclaim. All said and done, couple hundred metal, probably like maybe close to like 300 metal between it all if you get every single speck on your side of the map. Not really very much. Ultimately, barely pays for the resbot, but having that resbot in the early game can be very useful anyways. Anywho, spawning on the other side here as the blue, pardon me, as the red, go on vacation and forget all my colors. As the red team commander here, it's going to be none other than Emir. Clocking in at 64 open skill 2. Emir is a powerhouse, to say the very least, and going to be playing on what is traditionally a very aggressive lane. The lane that you typically want to be very aggressive on, try and push forward for as much of an advantage on. Should be some good stuff seeing this commander out here. But alright, let's talk about this map here. All That Glitters, not a map that is uncommon to see out on the ladder if you're, just a regular OS gamer and you're playing some big team games. Odds are you're going to find a Supreme Isthmus game and you're going to find a All That Glitters game available. I typically don't play very much All That Glitters. I tend to hate that map. And this one is, well, it's a spin-off of that one, so I'm still not made up whether I like this one or not here, but an excellent scout from the Seafoam Green Commander. One of the biggest changes is that the Canyon Lane is now much more of a high ground. So as you can see right here, where Flabame and Customize are both playing up on this little high ground area here, there are these little pillars, I guess you could call them, these sort of plinths that oversee the area down below. So it definitely changes the dynamic here, because it means that all of a sudden, rather than being this like difficult to defend kind of onslaught area, you actually have a high ground advantage, which means a lot, especially for plasma bots that gain a lot of range whenever they're firing downhill. Whole bunch of ticks looking to find some value here. We're not quite to dangerous numbers of ticks yet. I would say once you get to about 20, 25 ticks, you can start to do some really heinous things, including sniping commanders that aren't paying attention. Early on into the game, it can be a really viable strategy because you can get 25 ticks on the field relatively quickly before commanders have enough energy to consistently throw out D-guns. You need 500 energy per D-gun. Most commanders won't have that until about 6 minutes into the game or so. I definitely wouldn't have it until like 15 minutes into the game. My energy scaling is awful. I played a couple of games to try and get back into it after a week long of not playing bar. I tried to play some games to get back into it, and my goodness, I need a little learner's course. Maybe a good time for some tutorials. But anyways, here's some thugs coming up right here. I love to see this from Flabame. Thugs, like I said, going to be really useful on the high ground because they can fire away quite a bit further when they're firing downhill as opposed to when they're normally just firing on flat ground. Looks like some run-bys all over the place. We do have a bomber coming across here too. Fighter planes are in position to shoot this down though, so this bomber shouldn't find... Ooh, I was going to say it shouldn't find too much value, but there we go. Wind turbines go a-popping, and it does manage to, at the very least, get a little bit of damage. The metal extractor goes down, the wind turbines. Oh, follow-up bomber here as well. Nicely done. Takes out more wind turbines and the second mechs there. Leaves the rest of those scuffed up as well, and there's no build power back here to rebuild this. There is a construction turret, but it's a little bit far forward. Can't repair all of this. So that's an excellent little start right there for the, well, it's going to mostly impact the Cyan commander. Cyan and Purple are fighting on this lane against the Orange commander, T-Syria.
Commander destroyed.
Comm trade already. Green commander goes down right here. Unluck surviving with a sliver of health. Only 5% remains for the maroon commander, but Loudy is going to be moving into position as well. Those maces, again, up on the high ground, doing some good stuff, firing away out into the distance and doing a wonderful job of repulsing those blitzes from pushing uphill. Obviously, the vehicles were the meta and largely still are the meta in this game. However, pushing up into this hill with vehicles can be very, very difficult because that terrain bonus means that those vehicles go quite a lot slower than the bots, which are not impacted quite as heavily by the terrain, the slope there. Rocket bots firing away. The thugs on the high ground again firing down onto the rocket bots. About even range here between all these now that the thugs have a little bit more range standing up on top of this pillar here. Making this fight ever so slightly a little bit more even between the Rocketeers and the thugs. Typically, Rocketeers sort of try to dance at the edge of the range, their rocket range, avoid most of the fire from these thugs, but it's going to be difficult to do up here while these thugs are guarding the high ground. Little bit of a run by over here as well. Couple of orange pawns split through the defenses, making a run for it. Nice. Snipe some X. Oh, Shuriken in position. Looks like the tick will get the final shot, though, and all will be well. Okay, not bad. A little bit of damage, but not the end of the world right there. Dealt with quite nicely by the blue team. Now Chevrolet is going to be pushing forward. We do have some Janus tanks. The Janus moving out onto the front lines here. We've also got the commander helping to assist build one of these good old-fashioned beamer turrets whenever you're going up against an opponent that is using rocket bots. Almost always it's a good idea to throw down one of these beamer turrets. It's a very effective way of shutting down big areas in the map. Not to mention, of course, heavy laser towers, which do effectively the same thing. Only difference, of course, being that Chevrolet is playing with vehicles. The vehicle hierarchy artillery does outrange the... Oh, look at this cheeky little forward T2 lab. The vehicle artillery does outrange the HLT, so it is the end-all, be-all, final step on the plan right here for laying siege on the front line for the blue commander, as indeed we will see some of those shell shockers started up here in the back line. But what a cheeky little play. The pink commander, who is in the tech position here, has abandoned the back line, basically entirely here, and is instead going to go ahead and move all the constructors and the build turrets and all the rest of it to the front line, where they're going to, build the T2 lab. Is this the meta or what? It sure seems like it. Now, this difference might not seem like a whole lot, right? You're kind of just going from, a little bit in the back line to a little bit closer to the front line. But really, that difference can be ginormous. Like, if these units hit the field 30 seconds to a minute earlier than the opposing team's T2 units, they can tear apart those static defenses, allowing faster, lighter units like ticks or pawns or grunts to get underfoot of the expensive artillery pieces like these Mauser right here. And then all of a sudden, those very useful T2 siege engines no longer work quite properly. I like it, and I like it quite a lot. The Rocketeers here now in mass enough that they can actually start to kind of one-shot down these vehicles, one volley down these vehicles. A couple of walls have been set up here as well. We do have a little bit of a push from the Mauser on the left-hand side. Looks like the green and cyan commanders have co-opted a laboratory here. Actually, it's a three-way co-op, so we've got the dark green, the cyan, and the lime green commanders all contributing to a laboratory. What an interesting playstyle. It's communism to the max right here. Everybody contributing their fair share and trying to spread around the wealth to everybody else. You can see constructors being handed out left, right, and center, trying to upgrade all the mexes for each of these commanders. But really, it's a big energy crisis for both of these teams. About 2,500 energy production for both teams, and really the one that gains the advantage is going to be the one that builds a couple of those A-solars or even a fusion reactor early on to get that energy advantage. Once you build that energy, you can start to dump all that metal a whole lot quicker. Your whole team puts it all into T2, and you've got yourself a wonderful situation. Sorry, muting myself every once in a while here to blow my nose. Not sure if you guys can hear that or not. It involves tapping on my microphone, so if I do it properly, you shouldn't hear anything, but there's the chance that you're hearing me thump, thump, thump on the microphone. If you're curious what that is, it's not somebody trying to break in, it's me. Fiddling with my setup here. I've actually received orders to move the entire setup, so that will be an exciting time. There will likely be an update and maybe some pictures or something like that as I undergo a new project. Looking into building a soundproofed, localized, isolated box, basically held together by a bunch of latches that can be undone so that it can all be moved around, but essentially using the power of stone and insulation to make a nearly soundproof box that I can sit in to record these videos. Hopefully it improves the audio quality. We will see. Nice little trade over here on the right-hand side. Looks like both of these commanders will go down, but obviously with the army out of the way right now for the red commander, it means that these ticks are now going to swarm forward right here. Do we have production? Well, we do now. Metal was not being spent right here by Flabium. It's a very high OS game, by the way, so I'm being quite critical, but yeah, the metal was just not being spent on anything. We have the ticks running forward through to the base at this point. They are going to get into the base right now of the powder blue commander, at the very least the frontline production center here. All of a sudden, with one big trade, 2 commanders down. Do we have any res bots to eat this up? I don't think we do. We're trying to leapfrog constructor towers to get over here and eat this up. Very nice. Yeah, I think this is a huge advantage right now. All of a sudden, production is kicked back on for the Lavender, or, yeah, Lavender commander. There's those Mauser rolling out, and they're reinforcing a little bit quicker to the front line, because, again, that laboratory is just a little bit closer. And with all those frontline turrets destroyed, there's not really anything to stop those pawns from running forward. Not only does it do a bunch of damage, but it also, of course, reveals the actual position for a bunch of those units, and it means that the Mauser can fire away quite a bit more accurately.
Commander destroyed.
Another commander goes down over here. That's the blue commander moving in to try and stop this army, no doubt, but we already have the construction tower eating up all the juicy remnants right here. We also have a couple of res bots. Wouldn't mind seeing those getting to work reclaiming all this, and it looks like indeed they will. Just like that, Amir has turned a dubious push into a extremely successful one. We now have thousands of metal leaking, well, flowing into the red team's economy. Those res bots going to be eating up several commanders worth. Yeah, just like that. Only takes these constructors, these res bots, a couple of seconds to eat up a commander. It really is like 15 seconds or something before they eat up an entire commander, and now it's gone. Back to the red team, where all of their economies are starting to skyrocket. As you can see, the advantage is ginormous when reclaiming, but other than that, still a pretty even game. Bull tank on the left-hand side trying to fight forward. We do have the lightning tanks destroying a whole bunch of this as well. Meanwhile, though, more and more units are just streaming in. Yeah, there's nothing the blue commander can do. We've got the T2 laboratory up and running, trying to pump out as many units as possible, but ultimately, without these T2 mechs already up and running, you're going to run out of metal so quickly. Yeah, and you can see Chevrolet is really stalling hard for it. We have the lightning tank out, which is quite nice. It'll be good enough for shutting down the pawns and the ticks, but obviously those Mauser are going to have a field day firing away at it, not to mention the Janus, which is still included in the mix. Actually works out quite nicely here. A little bit questionable otherwise, but in this circumstance, the Janus is quite useful. And my goodness, the blue team calls the resign vote. Bull's headed over to try and cut off this offensive. We do have Shuriken moving in. Oh, this is a nice play. Oh, this is a cheeky play. We've got Shuriken jumping on top of the Mauser, and then we've got transports picking up the Mauser and carrying them off. Are we going to capture command? I think we do. Yeah, we capture command. The Blossom right here going to capture command the Mauser that have been stolen from the front line by the Shuriken. What a hilarious play right there from the Seafoam Green commander. Manages to capture some of those good old-fashioned T2 artillery pieces. Okay. Frontline suddenly looking quite a bit better all of a sudden. Yeah, very nice, cheeky little play right there for the red team. At the very least, these Mauser will be useful on the front line. Big old push on this side, though. Shuriken trying to shuttle this down. No static defenses, though. No LLTs or anything, which are normally what you'd want to use to shut down these these ticks and grunts. Hound's not really going to cut it. Not as well, anyways. Now, without their Gauss rifle, they once upon a time they might have been sufficient, but nowadays not so much. Nowadays they really do struggle against anything that moves faster than themselves. Can we set the Mauser down? Oh, they are. Okay. Mauser are down. Headed towards the front line. Resign vote is still ongoing, though. My goodness. Okay. Well, a disappointing end to a high-level game right there as the red team manages to take the victory with overwhelming pressure on this right-hand side. I think it was inevitable that this was going to crack. The commander has died notifications apparently going crazy. It feels like this new update they pushed out has a couple of bugs that have yet to be ironed out, which is a bit strange. I've also noticed commanders will fire when cloaked, which is odd. Some interesting things. Hopefully we see those cleaned up recently. But a very nice, a very clean game from the red team. Not taking too much damage and just pushing on little advantages to get an overall advantage. And eventually, despite a killer play from Blossom, it will be our red heroes who take this victory. Thanks a ton for watching. If you did enjoy, please, of course, feel free to like and subscribe and join the Bravers community by clicking on the link that'll take you to the Discord channel. You're more than welcome to join up there as well. And I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day. Peace out, everybody.